Good morning. Welcome back to the morning show. We're talking with Martin J. Smith, author of 9 different books, 4 nonfiction, 5 fiction, and his most recent novel, Combustion here, has been called Part Hitchcock, Part Law and Order, All Terrific. So you've already got me intrigued because I'm a big Hitchcock fan. But let's talk, what's going on in Combustion? I mean, this book just came out, not even a year out now, are we?
Yeah, it came out in September. It's my first novel that's set in Southern California. It's a police procedural thriller.
Police procedural thriller, so that's
right.
where the Law and Order is going to come into a little bit.
And it started with the odd premise that, what would happen if somebody was inadvertently made a witness to a crime, and then because of that, they are a suspect in that crime. In other words, if somebody videotapes a murder and forces you to watch it, and the digital trail that you leave by watching it on the web implicates you in that crime, I thought that was a really interesting premise. And so
are these taken from like a potential real-life news story, or where do you get the inspiration for something like
they
this?
all come from real life somewhere.
Something that piqued your interest and said, wow, what a...
Yeah, but that one I just thought was interesting. If you could lure someone into a situation where they watch the commission of a crime via the web, then they become an accessory. And what an interesting way to set somebody up to be an accessory to a crime.
Yeah.
So that's the question at the heart of the book.
Combustion.
It's called Combustion because it's set in Southern California, where every plague known to man happens, every month. But there are wildfires. There's wildfire season in the fall, and so there's the backdrop of a wildfire unfolding that's out of control as this drama unfolds. So.
Which has been current events. California's coming out of a pretty massive drought. It's been
and coming out of it spectacularly. With dams failing.
That's
and all
good
that
or bad,
sort of
right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you've written some crime. This is a police procedural crime thriller. Is that what the other 4 novels? Have you followed a similar line, or do you kind of write all sorts of different?
This one was what's called a standalone. So the first 4 novels were a series called the Memory Series, featuring a psychologist who's a memory expert. And in each of those stories, he gets pulled into a crime situation because our entire criminal justice system is based on memory. If you've got an eyewitness who says that's the guy who did it, that used to be considered the gold standard. Well, guess what? Along came DNA, and all of a sudden we realized memory is not necessarily the gold standard. Well, enter my guy, my character, who is the guy whose job it is to sort of parse whether those memories are real or whether they are not. He was a pretty interesting character, and I found 4 pretty strong books out of that character.
So have you wrapped up that series, or is that going to continue on? Maybe see more?
I could. There are possibilities to resurrect it, but right now I've moved on to other things and nonfiction books as well.
So obviously, writing books comes out of life experience, and you've lived in Southern Cal for quite some time. You spent a year now. You spent 2 mud seasons in Grand County. So are we going to see something more like The Shining coming out from you, or or do you have something you're writing right now, or is that still? Yet to be
I actually do. I started something 3 or 4 weeks ago, based on a story that was told to me over a dinner a few weeks ago about a fairly legendary sheriff here in Grand County. I can't tell you any more about it right now.
But you'd be taking a fictional angle.
It's a novel.
Inspired by. Okay,
it's
gotcha.
a novel. A very colorful sheriff, let's put it that way. And I thought, well, let me play with this for a while and see where it goes. So I don't know whether it's going anywhere or not, but I'm having fun writing it. So.
We obviously don't want to give away endings or anything like that, but when you're writing, is your style, do you typically already know how the story's going to end, or do you start writing and see where the inspiration takes you along the way?
That's always been a question of confidence for me. So when I was starting out, I was a relentless plotter.
You get a formal outline and
Yeah, and I have to say I don't know whether I write good novels, but I know I write good synopses of novels, because my first 3 novels sold based on the synopsis of the novel, which convinces a publisher that you've thought this all the way through, you know how it ends, and you know how the loose ends are tied up, and so they take a gamble and they give you an advance based on that. So I know I write good synopses of novels, but as I've gotten more confident as a writer, I don't have to have every stepping stone all the way. I can leave what I call white space between the plot points, and I can let things happen.
And that'll flow as it does on any given day.
And the more I call it working without a net. I can work without a net now, whereas in the beginning I didn't feel like I could.
All right. Well, I know we talked about September. This came out, and then the Wild Duck Chase came out a little before that. But the movie came out in September. So when we come back, I want to get more into the Wild Duck Chase and talk a little more about that.
Great.
Do you have a website that you can locate your?
I do. www.martinjsmith.com. Keep
it easy. So, all right, Marty, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back and talk a little more about the Wild Duck Chase and why that's such a fun story. And I'm excited to hear more. We'll be back right here on Channel 18.